Have you just installed Lightroom and are wondering what's next? Before you dive into editing, let's make sure you set things up the right way. Trust me, this will save you a ton of headaches later. Hi, I'm Zach, and after years of doing things the hard way in Lightroom, I'm here to show you how to start smarter than I did. In this video, we'll walk through setting up your first catalog, importing photos the right way, and a quick tour of the library module to help you stay organized from day one. This series is designed to guide you comfortably through your very first photo editing session in Lightroom Classic, from start to finish. Across about 10 videos, we'll cover everything you need to know to import, organize, edit, export your photos, all while building a solid foundation in Lightroom Classic. By the end of the series, you'll not only have your first edited photos, but you'll also understand exactly what's happening behind the scenes, how Lightroom manages your files, keeps your edits non-destructive and organized. Once the series is complete, I'll add a link in each video description to a detailed table of contents, making it easier for you to jump around to any topic whenever you like. And if there's a topic you're looking for that I don't cover in this series, drop a comment and let me know. I want to make sure future videos cover exactly what you need. Okay, before we jump in, let's clear up some common confusion. What's the difference between Lightroom and Photoshop? When I first started, I thought Lightroom was just a light version of Photoshop. I'd open one photo at a time in Photoshop, run it through Camera Raw, make my edits, and move on. But what I didn't realize is that Lightroom isn't a watered-down version of Photoshop. It serves a completely different purpose. Lightroom is built for managing and editing your entire photo library efficiently. It's about fast, non-destructive edits across hundreds or even thousands of images, keeping everything organized and easy to find. Photoshop, on the other hand, is a powerful pixel editor. It's great for detailed creative edits, things like removing objects, heavy retouching, creating composites, or even original art. But it's not designed for managing large collections of photos or handling quick edits across an entire shoot. So think of it this way. Lightroom is for organizing, batch editing your photos efficiently. Photoshop is for advanced, detailed edits and on individual images. Most photographers will spend about 80 to 90% of their time editing in Lightroom, only sending photos to Photoshop when they need that extra level of detailed work. And yes, Lightroom uses the same Camera Raw engine that Photoshop does, but the difference is in how you apply it. In Lightroom, you can apply those adjustments across multiple photos without ever leaving the app. All right, now that we know why we're using Lightroom, let's set up your first catalog. First up, what exactly is a Lightroom catalog? Think of it as your photography control center. Your catalog doesn't store your photos. It simply keeps track of where they are and what edits you've made. It is simply a small database of changes that you made to your photos. When you view them in Lightroom, you can see all the changes you made, but nothing has been written over or changed about your original photo. This means your photos can stay neatly organized wherever you want. Lightroom just remembers where to find them. When you create your first catalog, I recommend saving it on a fast internal or external SSD. This keeps everything running smoothly, especially as your photo library grows. All right, with that set, let's bring in some photos. When you first open Lightroom, you'll be presented with a screen something like this. You may not have any photos up here yet, as this is from a previous import that I did. First thing you do is in the lower left-hand corner, click the import button. This will bring up a screen that looks something like this. Pay attention up here to the option you have selected. Copy, move, and add are the three important things to pay attention to for now. Use add if your photos are already exactly where you want them and you just want Lightroom to reference them. For example, if you have already copied them from your SD card from your camera onto your computer's hard drive or external drive. Use copy to create duplicates of the photos in a new location. This is great if you're pulling files off the SD card, but you don't want to destroy the copy that's on the SD card just yet. And move is if you want to physically move the files on your computer. So if you're moving them from an SD card to the hard drive, it should just make a copy of them, But if you're moving them from one location to a new location on your hard drive, it will actually move them at the same time. Be careful with this option. It can disrupt your organization if you're not paying attention. For the most part, if you just stick with using copy, you may use extra hard drive space in the long run if you're not copying from an SD card, but it's a safe way to import your files. For this purpose, I'm going to use add because I have already moved the files to my hard drive. I'm going to navigate to my disk. Next, let's talk about folder organization real quick. Some people like to sort by date, others by event, but personally I recommend just choosing a method and sticking with it. It'll make finding files much easier later. I typically sort by the style of shoot and the date. This is an older import that I've moved to for reference purposes today, where I didn't label the shoot as a wildlife shoot. So I just have it by date. That will make this more difficult to find later unless I change the file structure and the file name. I'm not going to change it right now, but showing off my own limitations here, this can make things more difficult to find in the future. Once you've selected your source and you have all your photos, click Import. This adds all your files to Lightroom's database. So now it's going to catalog where each of these files exists on your hard drive. Okay, we've imported our photos. Let's take a quick look at the library module. Down here, you've got your film strip. It shows you each photo that you've got up here. These are the same photos. You can toggle through them by using the arrow keys. You can hit spacebar to blow up the picture that you have highlighted so that you can view it a little bit closer. Up in the upper right-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, you can increase the size so that you can view it a little bit larger. If you click these down arrows, I can look at that one at 300%. So I can zoom in, see, did I get this bird in focus? The reason for that is we can use organizational methods here. Important keys to remember are the X and the P key. X stands for rejected, P stands for picked. So this photo, I'm going to hit the space bar. I see there is nothing in this photo. I'm going to hit in this photo. I'm going to hit escape to bring it back to the grid view. Then I'm going to hit X. X flags that as a rejected photo. Next, I'm going to hit the arrow key, and I can tell from the preview that this photo is too dark. I'm not going to want to use it for anything. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as X. While it's up, you can mark it as X as well, and notice it brought up the little highlight that said it was rejected. I'm going to hit escape and go back. So I'm back at the grid view. Going to the next one, this is basically the same photo. All of those turkey vultures, I'm pretty sure are going to be unusable. So I'm going to mark them all as X. So the quick way to do that, there's two ways, is I could hit X arrow, or you can hold Shift, click on the farthest photo, and click X, and that marks them all as rejected. Then when we hit the arrow again, it'll still cycle you through the normal pattern. So from that point, it's best to just click on the next photo. Now I don't recognize this photo, so I need to see what it is. So I'm going to hit space, bring it up. I don't see anything interesting in that photo, so I'm going to hit X and then arrow and see the next photo. Here's a little woodpecker. However, this doesn't look like a usable photo. So the next little secret here is I want to reject this one and move to the next photo at the same time. So I'm going to hit Shift X, and it automatically rejects that one and takes me to the next photo. This is the method I prefer typically when importing photos, is I hit Shift X and Shift P, and when you're holding Shift, it acts as a modifier that performs the action on the current photo and then advances you to the next photo. And it allows me to sort through photos very, very quickly, especially for shoots like wildlife or macro, because there's a lot of spray and pray. So I might have 50 images of the same bird, and I know that half of them are going to be out of focus or poorly framed, and I'm not going to want to use all of them. So just for example purposes, this little red-bellied woodpecker is hiding on the back of that tree, so I'm going to hit Shift X, and I actually want to hang on to that photo for later because it looks like it might turn into something neat. So Shift P. and that's the same one. I'm going to want to compare those later. And then Shift X. I don't like that one or that one. Or that one I don't particularly like either. That one's poorly framed. That one's kind of interesting as he moved up the tree. We'll keep that one. Anyway, I'm not going to take you through the whole sorting session, but that gives you an idea of the power of using your modifier keys. I can quickly sort through photos without having to blow each one up. It's just going to show me the next one. Now, that was the Z key. It does a little zoom effect, so you can get a little bit closer, maybe if you're checking focus or something. Also, you'll notice these tools right here. At the bottom of the preview image, these are flags. This is P and this is X that are your pick and reject, and that's what we're using for our purpose right now. This is just our initial review of the photos. All these other modifiers can be used later, like the stars, and I'll show you where I use them. You can use your own system. I like to pick and reject photos initially because it helps me clean up my hard drive, which I'll get to in a later video. You don't have to rate every photo or overthink it right now. Just pick them or reject them and move on. And that's it. You've created your first catalog, imported your first photos, taken your first look around Lightroom, and that's all for today. In the next video, we'll talk about organizing your photos like a pro, getting started with your first edits. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe, follow along for our full Lightroom Classic series. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.